Yes, I think I've got it. Spring has sprung. The grass is riz. I wonder where the adventurers is. Wizard, it's summertime. What? I thought it was spring. It was, but you spent it warbling away in the karaoke hall. Well, poop! Now I have to write a whole new poem. Well, I guess it can wait. Hello, friends! The Old School Essential campaign is back after a bit of a hiatus. Further, this session was played on the 2-year anniversary of the campaign's first session. 2 years, 31 sessions, and more to come as the various mercenaries gathered at the Keep on the Borderlands continue to explore the region. Roll the opener, imp! As always, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick cutout minis. Today's players: Scott as Senek Christ, Lawful Cleric of Fultus, Level 4. Rhiannon as Plexus Goric, Chaotic Dwarf, Level 3. Neil as Onion Buns Bumblestump, Neutral Halfling, Level 2. Vahid as Xavier, Lawful Ranger, Level 2. And guest player Monty as Cypher Crow, Chaotic Cleric of Cass, God of Spite. And allow me to introduce today's special guest player.
Hello everyone, my name's John and I'm the creator of Tale of the Manticore. In this game I'm playing Rats, the neutral fighter, who has a great deal of love for money.
At the Keep on the Borderlands, another harsh winter on the frontier has passed into spring, and Senek, Plexus, Onion Buns, and Xavier sit at the Traveller's Inn, having made the acquaintance of 2 newcomers to the Keep, Cypher Crow and Rats. They make introductions and get to know one another over food and drinks. Cypher and Rats indicate quite clearly that they are mercenaries there to find wealth. After Cypher vaguely mentions a divine patron, Senek inquires about his faith, but Cypher doesn't reveal his religion, only that he has been persecuted for his beliefs and would rather not say. Senek doesn't press it. They discuss rumors they have heard and goings-on in the region. The abduction of Lady Sylvia shortly before the winter hit has managed to strain relations on the neighboring Yalarum, even though the nation had nothing to do with the plot. Suspicions that factions within Yalarum were behind it and that the rulers of Yalarum are refusing to investigate have upset the people within Karamakos. Further to this, Oliver of Hum, the main perpetrator behind the abduction, is still at large, and a reward of 10,000 Karamakos royals has been added to the bounty, though there's much doubt as to whether or not he's even still in the region. Rats has heard about tribes of dogmen in the caves near the keep, while Cypher has heard tell that this Bolg the Slaver is in fact a demigod child of Grumpsh. There have been reports that the tribes of the Caves of Chaos packed up and departed prior to the winter, but when the spring broke, the Keep Scouts reported them returning en masse, still led by the Hobgoblins, and bearing a new standard, prominently displaying the symbol of Leogzed. Senek talks of previous excursions he has made to the caves, of how the Goblin tribe was wiped out, and of seeing a Minotaur among the creatures there. Onion Buns wants to hunt the Minotaur, but Rats scoffs at the existence of such an outlandish beast, protesting that it's likely some trickery. A man in a bull shroud and nothing more. Discussion goes back and forth about the quickest way to make money. The 10 gold piece bounty on humanoid scalps is appealing, but also the 1,000 reward for Bolg the Slaver certainly gets the group considering that option. Plexus and Senek offer that the cursed mound holds some mystery. Local legend speaks of a mysterious tower that appears every so often. The group ultimately decides that they will hire retainers and investigate the mound en route to the caves to gather more intel for the Keep authorities, or maybe even hunt the Minotaur. 4 mercenaries are sitting in a corner, and Rats, being a former soldier, recognizes the type, so he swaggers over to them with some beer to engage in negotiations. Despite his +1 charisma bonus, they scoff at the beer and suggest something a little more worthy of their time, like honeymead. This, of course, is a result of a reaction roll where a 5 becomes a 6 thanks to his charisma, but indicating a reroll is needed. Rats acquiesces, then brings them mead, prompting the reroll after negotiating a rate, and they accept. He secures the employ of all 4 men, Garrett, Bly, Allen, and Cliff. The new retainers share information that a group of lizard men live in a marsh near the mound the group wants to investigate, but that the Castellan has refused all requests to hunt them down and kill them, despite their appetite for human flesh and occasionally ranging up to the road to snatch travelers. The team equips the retainers with leather armor, spears, shields, and 2 of them with crossbows. Packing up and heading out the next morning, they arrive at the mound in good order and start scouting around. From the top of the mound, Xavier spies movement and sees a large scorpion take down a deer. It hasn't noticed him, so he withdraws and informs the group. They decide to use their advantage of surprise and launch a volley of missiles at it. The volley causes some injury, though poor Onion Buns rolls a natural 1, frustrating the otherwise extremely proficient archer. It's immaterial, though, as the creature was out of range of his shortbow anyway. Now aware of their presence, the giant scorpion rushes at them. The beast starts 70 yards away, so they continue the volleys as it needs a few rounds to close the distance. They injure it, but are unable to kill it before it arrives. 2 morale checks succeed, meaning it's fighting to the death. The creature impacts against the set spear, causing grievous damage, but its horrid claws kill Alan the retainer. Onion Buns takes aim and finishes the creature off with a shot from his bow. They haul the carcass to the cart, hoping that it might have some value at the keep. Xavier heads to the base of the hill where he first saw it, finding the dead deer, then tracking around while the others work on the corpse. He finds evidence of 2 more such creatures in the vicinity, and he returns to report. With the carcass loaded, they decide to investigate the mound some more while keeping an eye out for more scorpions. They all spend a good amount of time examining and searching. Plexus's keen dwarven eyes spy something odd with the ground. Wondering if the weight of the tower has left its mark, she announces that she plans to start diggling around before realizing what she has said. Senek is in a fit of laughter over the misspoken word. Somewhere in there, her intent to check a circular area becomes a squircular area, and Senek is unable to keep his composure as Plexus diggles squircularly. The rest of the table also smiles and laughs.
In today's news, minions, teenage girl makes declaration that she hates snarky adults. In other news, water is wet.
That's what in-person table games are all about, am I right? After all the silliness is concluded, her investigations yield fruit, and she discovers the remains of an impression that was indeed made by something of a great weight. Her natural dwarven understanding of the geology suggests to her that it was about a decade prior, a detail that only dwarves could have spotted. Rhiannon is vindicated after all of the diggly squircularness. During all of this, Xavier decides to track the scorpions. The trail leads to the river, where he finds a fording area. Rather than crossing alone, Xavier returns to the group. Off to the side, the 3 retainers toast their fallen friend. The entire company returns to the keep, where Gren the Frowning is agog at the carcass, suggesting they take it to the Castellan's steward immediately. In conversation with Gren, they learn that there is a massive human-sized goblin raider calling himself Kosivic, who lets 1 or 2 victims live to tell others of his name. The Castellan is offering a bounty for his death. Rats and Onion Buns declare that they will speak to the Castellan, while the others seek Phineas, the Castellan's steward. He and Rats are laughed at by the guards, who say the Castellan doesn't just see anyone, especially not Bumblestump. Phineas does arrive to talk to the group, however, and is concerned about the presence of a giant scorpion. They are usually found in more southern climes or in the deserts of Yalarum, but not here in the mountains where the winters are too cold for them. He offers a personal reward to the group of 100 royals each, and then he puts a bounty on the other 2 scorpions of 1,000 apiece. When Xavier mentions that he tracked them south, Phineas wonders if whatever evil presence that lives in the grove has something to do with it. There are hot springs, and if there's a subterranean passage, it could explain their presence. In discussing the cursed mound, Plexus mentions the evidence of a weight pushing the ground in, suggesting that something does in fact appear. However, Phineas doesn't need proof of that, as he's witnessed it himself. He speaks of men that he sent to their deaths. Not deliberately, of course, but they were investigating on his behalf, and the tower disappeared. They were never seen again. He has been charting its appearance with the alignment of the stars, and wonders if it phases in from another reality at certain intervals. Mentioning the lizard men, Phineas repeats what others have said. that he has petitioned the Castellan to hunt and destroy the Lizardman tribe, but is denied every time. The group inquires about the Castellan's strength of character, but Phineas states that Dale is unimpeachable. However, this strange decision perplexes him every time. The group suggests that they could handle it, but Phineas states that while he wishes it, he won't sanction it without the Castellan's approval. The group seeks to hire more retainers to hunt the scorpions, but alas, no more retainers are available. Onion Buns, wondering if their reputation has soured people on working with them, pays Javier, the barkeep, a gold coin for information. Javier states that the opposite is true. The reputation of Onion Buns and his allies is fairly strong, as they have profited quite significantly and made names for themselves. The lack of possible hires probably has more to do with low traffic of travelers. There is some discussion about hunting Kosivic, but they decide to stick with what they had started and follow up on the scorpions. The next day, they buy some gear, form up, and travel back to the Mound, then south to the fording area. On the other side, Xavier locates the tracks of the scorpions and they follow. To the north, they spy figures in the marsh observing them and ducking away upon being spotted. They surmise that these are the lizard men. There is a brief suggestion of abandoning the scorpions and killing the lizard men, but they quickly disregard that notion and push forward. Arriving at the grove, they find a thick area of wood, eerily silent. The cart is too unwieldy, so they leave Bly to guard it while the rest trudge in. Xavier in the lead, tracking. Prior to entering, Senec blesses the group with a spell and casts protection from evil on himself. They come upon an area covered in thick webs. The scorpion tracks veer off away from them. The team has a whispered conversation about keeping away from the webs. Tracking some more, Xavier's caught off guard. The result of a surprise roll of 1 when he looks up and sees one of the giant scorpions struggling and dying in a web. A loud clicking sound can be heard in the distance, and a large spider drops down on him and bites him. Alas, the bless doesn't grant a bonus to the saving throw. Vahid rolls and scores a 13, but he needs a 14 to save versus poison. All is not lost, however, as the venom grants a +2 to the saving throw. Xavier is saved. He throws the spider off of him and combat is engaged. The group makes short work of the spider, though Onion Bun's usual precision fails, and he hits Xavier with friendly fire. Cypher grabs the spider carcass and tosses it into a sack. Xavier tracks around to find where the other giant scorpion went. The group also realizes that the spider they just killed was far too small to have webbed that giant scorpion 20 feet up in the trees. The loud clicking is heard again in the distance. While it's clear the spiders and scorpions aren't working together, so to speak, they do wonder if both creatures were drawn by whatever horror resides in the grove. Onion Buns, not being fond of spiders, withdraws back to the cart where he waits with Bly. The rest of the group hunts down the final scorpion, finding it in the southernmost part of the grove. It is initially skittish upon their approach, but soon becomes aggressive and moves in. The team launches missile fire as it approaches, whittling it down. The creature scores 2 nasty hits on Garrett, the retainer, 14 damage against his 3 hit points, utterly annihilating him. Xavier's skill and strength deal a devastating blow to the beast while Plexus comes in and flanks the scorpion, but her attack bounces off its hide, even with her fancy new magical battle axe. Having maneuvered to the creature's other flank, Rats moves in and brings his sword down on it, scoring a hit but rolling a 2 on his d8. However, with Senec's Bless spell adding +1 to damage, that's 3 damage total, which is just enough to finish it off. They quickly harvest the claws and tails as proof of the kill. While they do this, Xavier tracks around and discovers a cluster of trees with exposed roots and an opening, forming the entrance to a subterranean passage. Xavier spies the scorpion tracks coming and going from this hole. The group notes this, but does not enter, instead opting to return to the keep. The writhing scorpion trapped in the web has stopped moving. Xavier attempts to climb up the tree and cut the webbing down so they can harvest the parts, but slips and falls, taking some minor damage. He briefly considers just leaving it, but then decides to try one more time, keeping his hold this time and cutting down the beast. He and Rats, who now calls himself Rats the Scorpion Slayer, harvest the stinger and claws, then rush to rejoin the rest of the group and return to the keep. Phineas gives them the promised sum, and XP is rewarded. After a long stretch of avoiding rewards, Onion Buns finally earns enough XP to cross that 3rd level mark. Vahid's luck also seems to have changed, and Xavier makes 3rd level as well. The session then concludes. Well, friends, the adventures at the Keep on the Borderlands continue. Some new players, some familiar faces, and a good time all around. I would like to take a quick moment to say thank you to John from Tale of the Manticore for guesting in. I hope to see you back at the table. If you're not familiar with Tale of the Manticore, check out his podcast. Links are in the description. Back when this game started, no one knew what would come or where things would go, not even the DM. While there has been a steady rotation of players, many of the originals still pop into the campaign on a recurring basis, and everyone has gone through a couple of characters along the way. Scott, who plays Senec, while not one of the original players, has the rare distinction of still being on his first character. For today's session, the group did interact with an actual scenario from the module, that being the spiders in the grove. Of course, there are some other elements that have been inserted by the DM. The mystery of the tower on the cursed mound comes from another source, and the giant scorpions were a random encounter using the encounter tables from the Old School Essentials Handbook. Once again, a fine example of how a game can grow when you just let the dice fall where they will. We've seen it a couple of times already in this campaign. The cockatrice encounter way back in earlier sessions, or the more recent wyvern encounter, and now the giant scorpions. In this case, the DM needed to justify their presence on the fly, which from a DM perspective is half the fun. Adding to the overarching scenario in unexpected ways, giving an extra depth to the experience. When Xavier chose to follow, a decision as to where they came from had to be made. Ultimately, they ended up finding an underground passage within the grove. But where does it lead? What underground complex awaits them? We'll see if anyone else picks up that thread. Normally, I'd say that would be a great place to seed in the wonderful adventure, The Hole in the Oak. But that particular one has already been placed within this campaign, so something new awaits. As for the horror of the grove, well, that's another DM insert. The module itself just mentions a couple of spiders. But from the beginning, the DM here planned for something a little more. So I'm eager to see where this goes now that the information is out there. Further to all that, what's the deal with the Castellan? Why won't he allow the men to hunt the Lizardman tribe, or even reveal why? What's going on at the Caves of Chaos? More questions are cropping up, so let's see if the players start pulling on the threads and follow where they lead. The stage is set once again as regular sessions return and the adventure goes ever on. Until the next one, my friends.